Salutations, I'm EC Misc and this is Phoenotopia Awakening. Although it's not my style, this trailer is a post-commentated demonstration of Katash Round 2. The fight is just that difficult, believe me. I've done at least 20 takes to get this footage. But note that he always starts off with a swiping attack, and if you get him with an explosive round from the Kobold Blaster, you can stunlock him as long as he doesn't warp to either of the upper corners. This is reminiscent of Mega Man Battle Number 4, Red Sun, where you can go wind style and use the airshot Mega Buster to stunlock Laser Man. But it's even better because you're beating Katash at his own game. Oddly enough, the second phase is the most brutal. That dash attack is a death sentence in Zero Trial. The most effective strategy is to intercept Katash with a midair explosive round, and then you can stunlock him if you're quick enough. When he warps to one of the upper corners, the contingency is to use the Double Crossbow to deal chip damage and potentially get its explosive rounds to blow up in his face. By the way, don't mind the degree of completion in this file, because it has no bearing on my demonstration. I have no reason to consume this third Miranda, except because that's what I would do if the prior two phases were slower and or perilous. Speaking of this phase, Katash will camp in the upper corners, meaning that the Double Crossbow is going to do the heavy lifting. If Katash happens to be in the appropriate corner and you hit him with enough diagonal bolts, then he will get knocked down and hit by his spaceship laser for 50 damage. I pulled this off the first time, but the second time I took away so much of his HP that I didn't even need the laser. By the way, while I was recording this footage, I was watching game shows on the side, and I almost forgot to mash through the final dialogue, so you'll hear a few accidental button press noises. I'm referring back to when I entered the fight because I was too busy with the introduction to explain. I like to leap just before the nearest Stellanite firing lasers, in hopes that I'm manipulating the Kobold firing patterns to tend towards the air more than the ground. In this case, unfortunately, one of them fired low, so I had to take a hit, because either way, it's best to stay low when you enter the crossfire. Amid this final cutscene here, let me cut to the chase and explain what this PABCAB is all about. As suggested by Pymes on Discord, this will be the Awakening counterpart of PHST, the 100% speedrun tutorial of the Flash game. The PA of PABCAB obviously refers to Phoenotopia Awakening, while the rest means briskly collecting all badges. I'm not calling it a speedrun tutorial this time, mainly because I'm putting it together before I start running the category, rather than after I've done a few runs of it. Strangely, the percentage counter in this game is only dependent on moonstones and the phalanx, i.e. not even winning Katash round 2 is required. That's why PABCAB is based on all badges rather than 100%, because the former involves that much greater degree of completion. And even then, obtaining all badges does not encompass everything in the game, but this time I plan to dedicate an extra part to the leftover notables. As an aside, I'd like to point out that when the A and B buttons make squeaky noises like this, mashing them does speed up the text a fair bit. Speaking of planning, I will upload every part of PABCAB en masse, just as I did for PHST, and have to do most of the routing and all of the recording from scratch, so it's going to be a long time in the works. And last but not least, I want to explain why I chose to demonstrate Katash Round 2 in particular. It's required for the Darkwings badge, and the biggest time save in all badges is getting Darkwings in Zero Trial in one fell swoop. If unsuccessful, might as well wait until after the Phalanx to try again, and that costs at least 15 minutes, even without mentioning the possibility of getting screwed in one of the fights or soft-locking before Bart's log. But I managed to demonstrate that it's possible to win the fight under Zero Trial conditions. As another aside, to elaborate upon the degree of completion in this file, I have achieved 100% completion, found all Pero, obtained all tools, and filled the quest menu. There, I've said my piece. Feel free to enjoy the end sequence, or not.